Hello. Welcome to the third official iteration of my DevLog series of my speedrunning platformer game. Last week, I made some cool stuff like launch pads, flying cars, and an elevator. This week, I made even more cool stuff that I'm super excited to talk about, so get ready for some real nerd shit. First up, let's talk Python. Now, did I go to school for computer science? No. Did I take a 100-day Python course, of which I did 25 days of? Yes. Did that prepare me for using Python for Unreal Engine? No. But that didn't stop me. With the power of outdated and difficult to parse Unreal Engine Python documentation online, and ChatGPT's understanding of using Python with Unreal Engine 4, yes, I said 4, not 5, yikes, I was able to make a few cool things to enhance my workflow. First, I wrote a script that makes me a basic master material with basic nodes already hooked up and ready to go in the material attributes. And I made a similar script for a master glass material. All I have to do to run these Python scripts is to go to the Tools panel in the Unreal Editor, find the script name, and run it. Then the material will be created in the folder of the content browser I specified in the script. Now, this is super useful because it saves me time creating the material than hooking up all these nodes manually. And when it comes to game development, anything that can make my workflow more efficient is extremely handy. Second, I made a script that spawns a spotlight into the level right in front of the viewport's camera, 100 Unreal units in the forward direction of the camera to be exact. It also spawns in with a custom intensity, attenuation radius, and temperature that I specified in the script. Most notably, I created a script that creates a folder with 2 subfolders within. I'll be using this script from now on whenever importing a new 3D mesh from an external source like Sketchfab. When the script is run, a dialog box, or GUI, which stands for a Graphical User Interface for you nerds out there, pops up, prompting the user to input a folder name. Once inputted, a folder will spawn into my content browser with 2 folders inside labeled Mesh and Textures, so I can easily organize these file types once I import the FBX, GLB, XYZIOPSQLOI, whatever file extension it is. There are too many for me to remember. So those are the Python scripts I've created to make things go a little faster. Now, onto the stuff I think is way more exciting. Have I ever used C++ before this week? No. Did I even know where to start? Absolutely not. Is it kind of like Python? A little bit, I guess. Just kidding, it's much more confusing. No. So I harnessed the power of the internet and, of course, ChatGPT to help me. I started out by creating a floating actor that bobs up and down and rotates. Cool. Then I took it one step further and created an actor component, just for movement, that you can attach to any actor in the level and edit its properties. You can edit how far it moves, how fast it moves, whether it moves to a target location and back, or it just moves in the same direction forever, and even if it starts moving as soon as the level starts, or some specified time after. After I made the script, I wanted to create 2 more actor components, one that controls the rotation of the actor and one that controls the scale. The C++ scripts for these basically did the same thing as the one for the location movement, so this wasn't too hard to implement. I made a 4th and final actor component that combines all 3 of these transformation properties, location, rotation, and scale. I tested out each component in an empty level before implementing them into my work in progress level. It doesn't look like much, but honestly, this got me shouting and jumping up and down in my chair when I finally got it working. So now, I've got shipping containers that move up and down, rotate, and slide back and forth. And the editable component properties are extremely easy to edit in the editor. Now, I know what you're thinking. Noah, last week, your level did not look like this. What's up with all the crazy laser magnets and billboards and whatnot? And to that, I say, thank you for asking. No, seriously, thank you for asking because I can't wait to talk about it. Let's check out the billboards first. So last week, these designs were just simple, pulsing, yellow things. This week, I used Stable Diffusion to generate this abstract, futuristic-looking artwork. Now, for those of you that don't know, Stable Diffusion is not a scientific term. Or maybe it is, don't quote me on that. The Stable Diffusion I'm referring to, according to Google, is an open-source, deep learning, text-to-image AI model. Basically, you type in what you want an image of, and Stable Diffusion will generate a few options for you. It does a really great job and it's totally free. The only problem is that it gives 1:1 square ratio images, but I needed images that could be stretched onto my billboards. So I popped them into Photoshop, where I expanded them on a larger canvas using the new Generative fill feature. Now that I had all of my billboard designs, I imported them all into my Unreal project, created a master material with a glitchy effect that uses a panning texture and sine waves that pops in every so often, and added some panning arrows to clearly indicate the direction the player should be going in. They definitely catch your eye, which I suppose is what I was going for. While I was at it, I added the same effect to my launchpad blueprint and created some floating yellow arrows to indicate the direction the launchpad will shoot the player in. I think the arrows make it more obvious that it's a launch pad and not just a random circle on the ground. The final thing I'll cover is the laser beam looking things on the shipping containers. Now there are two parts to this. The rings on bottom and top, and the laser column with a sort of heat distortion effect in the middle of it. I wanted to make it look like the shipping containers were attached by some sort of magnetic mechanism rather than a plain old pulley system. Both the rings and laser column use something called a dot product node, which I used to create a transparent center and opaque border. The ring has a panning texture in its emissive attribute, while the column has a panning texture in its refraction attribute, to give it that heat distortion, middle of the desert haze type of look. Well, those are all the major updates I've made to my level since last week. Some major things the game is missing is the parkour mechanics, very important for a parkour platformer, enemies, and hazards. Actually, hang on. Okay, there's one hazard done. A car that flies through the level and kills you on impact, or at least it quits the game for now. This week was pretty crazy. I learned some of the Python API for Unreal Engine, I learned how to use C++ a little bit, and I made some pretty cool materials. And with that, this video is officially over. Please leave a like if you liked it, maybe a comment, and maybe consider subscribing. Look out for next week's video. Thanks for watching.